Thank you. A warm welcome to everyone gathered here. It is a great privilege to be able to bring in front of all of y'all Mr. Satoshi Yagisawa. And I hope we have a great session. I know a lot of book lovers are here to get to know more of the person who's inspired quite a few of us to pick books also for the first time in a long time. And he'd love to address all of y'all before we get into the session. So I'd give it, sir, to address you first.
Thank you for coming. Too hot. 日本は今真冬なんでものすごい暑くてびっくりしています。で、皆さん来てくださってとても嬉しいです。私からちょっと一つ、お聞きしたいんですけれども、僕の作品を読んだという方、読んでくれたという方いらっしゃいますか、この会場に。
So, thank you all for coming here. In Japan right now, it's midwinter and it's very cold. And he's pleasantly surprised that it's nice and warm here. Thank you all for coming today. And he'd like to know how many have read his books.
Thank you. 一人もいなかったらすぐ帰ろうかと思ってたので、とてもありがたいです。
So, thank you all for coming here today. And thank you for all the readers who have managed to come today.
So without further ado, we'll get started with the session. I've chock full of questions and I'm sure all of you would have some questions to ask as well. So please do keep them in mind because we'll have a Q&A at the end of the session. I get straight down to it. So the book has been a comfort read for a lot of people. It's a very soft, sweet, cozy book to sit with a cup of coffee. So as a book that extends comfort to people, I wanted to know what kind of state of comfort were you in when you wrote the book, or was this something that came as a calm after all the chaos that you were going through in life at that point?
そうですね。ちょっと、質問の意図ともしかしたら、ずれてしまうかもしれないんですけれども、私は文章を書くときに基本的に誰かの役に立てるかどうかで、書くようにしています。ですので個人的に自分のことを書くというよりは、作品あるいは文章を読んで、誰かがこのその安らぎを得てもらえるかとか、それをとても大事に執筆をしております。ですので私のその精神状態とか、あるいは忙しさとか環境だとか関係なく、どんな状況であれ、そのような文章を、書いていくことが、自分にとっての使命と思っていまして、で、むしろですねそうですね、自分のために書くというのがあまり得意ではなくて、なんとなくそれはもう自然にそうなっているという感じです。
So, it might be a little different from the response you're expecting, but when writing, he mostly thinks of how his writing could put other people at ease, and how to help other people, and what would be the best way to touch other people's hearts. So this is what he normally thinks about while writing. So it's not about something that had put him in a state of comfort, but this is how he wants to comfort his readers by.
Thank you, sir. You were talking about the difference in weather between Japan and here. In the book, they do talk about different journeys of Satoru, and one of it is his visit to India. So I want to know what are the things about India, our culture, heritage, food that Satoru would have loved the most.
そうですね。インドの皆さんはご存じないと思うんですけれども、日本ではですね、インドに行くと、価値観が変わると、自分の今まで育った日本の環境から、カルチャーショックを受けて帰ってくるということがですね、非常に多いと言われていて、日本の特に悩める若者とかは、インドに行くことがとても多いんですね。で、悟という人物はやはり若いうちから悩みを抱えて生きてきた人物だったので、そんな悟が日本を飛び出してもっと 広い人種だったり大きな環境いろんなものがいろんな文化が入り混じっているこのインドというところに行って、自分の価値観を変えるような体験をしてきたと、そういうことを、そこでは書いているんですね。で私自身も若い時にインドにぜひ行ってみたいと思っていたんですけれどもタイミングが合わずに行くことができず、今回が私のインドの初旅行となってまして、今ですね非常に楽しんでいますしとてもカルチャーショックといいますか、感じているところです。
So, the reason for Japanese people to travel to India is normally because a lot of young Japanese people usually want to travel to India because of the different value systems, and normally they want to broaden their worldview. And also, a lot of them receive a culture shock when they come to India. So, Satoru, at a point in time when he was very anxious and had a lot of insecurities about his life, had wanted to travel across the world to broaden his worldview and broaden his value system. And one of those places that Satoru had come to was either India or Nepal. He can't remember, as in the book. So the reason why this was written added to the book is because Yagisawa-san, as a young person, had also wanted to come to India when he was young, but for some reason or the other, he couldn't make it then. And he's happy that he was able to come this time.
I hope you're able to enjoy the India that you missed of your, younger days, and you get to see full of India this time. Um, one of the reason the book has been extremely accessible to all of us is the very size of it. It's a very non-intimidating size of a book. So for a writer, brevity is something that does not usually come very easily. To say words in such short, number of words. So I wanted to know if that was a conscious decision when you wrote the book to keep the size small, or were you always able to keep, a crisp way of expressing what you wanted to express?
そうですね。僕は、自分の執筆スタイルとして、シンプルかつ、とても、リズムを重視して、文章を書くようにしているんですけれども、それはやっぱり、簡単な言葉、例えば若い方とか、そんなに語彙をたくさん持っていないような方でも、読めるように、読める作品であってほしいという思いもありますし、あとはですね、僕自身が割とその難しい文章というのを読むのが苦手と言いますか、読んでるうちにだんだんこう頭がですね混乱してきてなってしまうので、自分で書いて読み直していても、シンプルで読みやすくてかつリズムのある文章じゃないと、なんか納得できないというところがあって、結果的にそのような、スタイルになっています。
Hi. His writing style is deliberately simple, and he uses simple language and simple words because he wants more young people to read his books. And there might be a lot of people who aren't into reading and may not have a wide vocabulary. And to make it accessible to such people, he prefers to write in a simple and rhythmical way. Um, he himself gets very. He doesn't like complicated language and complicated sentences. And when he reads books that have complicated sentences, he also tends to get very he tends to not understand exactly what is happening, and he has to pause and figure it out and all. So he didn't want to give his readers that sort of an experience, so he deliberately keeps it simple and easy to read.
It's no wonder that, so many of us found it so easy to read the book. It was very much the intention of the author to put us at an ease. Now, a lot of you might know, a lot of you might not. This was Days at the Morisaki Bookshop was his debut work. And as a debut author, what would you like to tell debut authors of today?
そうですね。私もデビューして、まあ、ありがたいことにたくさんの方に読んでいただくことになったんですけれども、それでもやっぱりデビューしてからは、苦難の連続のこともですね、大変多くて、何年も本当に苦しんだ時期とかもありました。それでもやっぱり一番自分が大事にしていたのは、自分が何を書きたいか、どんなことを伝えたいか、誰に届けたいか、そういうことをすごく大事にして、それを見失わないようにしてきました。例えば世の中のトレンドだったり、編集者さんがこんなの書いた方が受けるんじゃないですかとか、売れるんじゃないですかと言われることもたくさんありましたけれども、そういうものに流されるんじゃなくて、自分が書きたいもの、そういうものを確固たるものをですね、胸の内に持って、それをですね、大事にしてきました。ですので、例えばデビューした方とかでも、すぐには結果が出なくても10年20年自分が本当に大事にしている、気持ちをですね持ち続けて書き続けることが実は一番大切なんじゃないかと、それこそがむしろ成功の秘訣なんじゃないかと、僕は思います。
So, even though this was his debut novel and he had released it about more than 10 years ago, it wasn't an immediate success in Japan. It took him about 10 years to come to this stage of fame. So, his advice to debut novelists or people who want to be novelists is that, you know, the same as him, he did not really bother about who to write for or, sorry, yeah. So he didn't really bother about the trends of what sort of genre is selling and what his editors want him to write or what the trends and what the bestsellers are and try to write that sort of a novel. But he stuck to what he wanted to write, what his creative impulse was bringing out of him. So he wrote about who he wanted to write, what he wanted to write, and his advice to debut novelists is to continue writing, write as much as you can, and write what you want to write, not what you think will sell. And even if it takes you 10 years or 20 years to get published and famous, please just write from your heart.
So, on that very same strain, I want to know what made you start writing. Like, what was the catalyst?
はい、ですね、私はもともと何かを作りたいという気持ちがもともとすごく強くて、大学時代は映像の方を勉強しておりました。それでいつかは映画監督にでもなれたらいいなと思っていたのですが、そうして映像の勉強をしている中で自分が描きたいのは何かその映像的なセンスだったりかっこよさとかではなくて、もっと心の内面の部分を丁寧に描きたいんじゃないかということに、気づきまして、そのぐらいからですねそれであれば文章で表現する方が向いているんじゃないかと思うようになって、そのぐらいからですね大学4年生ぐらいの頃からですね、小説というものを書いてみようかなと思い始めました。もともと文章を書くこと自体は割と得意で、子供の頃から作文とかを書くとよく、コンクールとかで入賞していたので、それもまたちょっと後押しになりました。
So, when he was a young child, he also read a lot, and he was also praised for his writing in middle school. And but later on, when it was time to go to university, he chose filmmaking because he wanted to express himself and he wanted to create something. But while studying filmmaking, he realized that he wanted to be in a more direct connection with his audience, and he realized that maybe it's not filmmaking or becoming a director that would help him connect with his audience and express what he wanted to express, but writing would be a better medium for him to connect with his audience and deliver what from his heart to the reader's heart. So he chose writing as the medium of self expression.
Now, just as you said, art is usually an expression of self. And most debut works have a person or an incident from their own life that inspires their characters. It's got a bit of autobiographical elements generally. So I want to know what are some autobiographical elements that intentionally or unintentionally got into your writing.
はい、そうですね。先ほどもちょっとお話ししたんですけれども、私がですね、文章を書く上で大事にしているのは、それが誰かの読んでくださった方のですね、役に立てるかどうかというところが、僕にとってはとても大事でして、ということはですね、僕自身の、気持ちとかは基本的にない方がいいんですね。つまりですね、エゴというものを持っているとですね、作品はどうしても自分がコントロールするものになってしまうので、むしろそのエゴというものを捨てて、登場人物を上から見ることもですね、下から見ることもなく、隣にこういるような形で、見て、まるで一緒に今話しているように話を聞かせてもらっているような気持ちで書くというのをとても個人的には大事にしています。ですので私のその自伝的な要素とかそういうのはもしかしたら入っていないんじゃないかなというふうに考えておりまして、むしろそれより、創造の神様といいますか、そういう大きなものにですね、で委ねて私自身はただそれを書き取る、ための役割として、その場にいたいというふうな気持ちでいつも書いております。
So, as a writer, he feels that putting his own feelings into the books would be a hurdle to what he actually wants to accomplish, which is to be of help to the reader, to be able to touch the hearts of his readers. And if he puts too much of his feelings into that, he wouldn't be able to accomplish that. To touch his readers' hearts. So, what his method of writing is to not look at the main characters from a perspective of being above or below them in any way, but beside them, like walking along with them and um, observing their lives, listening to them, and then writing the story. So that's how the stories unfold. And it's not that he has some sort of inspiration or some muse that he would follow, but he would just observe everyday people and write from that perspective and let the stories unfold naturally.
That is very interesting to be able to do that, to, have the reader very much in the mind first while writing the book more than anything else. That it's a very interesting perspective. Now, the next question I have is the fact of being a debut author in your vernacular language in itself is a dream for a lot of people, and it's a big achievement, a big feat to be able to do something like that. And like you said before, it took a little while for it to build the fame that the book got. But how was it to achieve global fame once it got translated years later, to revisit it, and suddenly it's like anywhere in the world you go, it's a popular book? How does it feel to deal with that global audiences phenomenon, and how did that fame make you feel, beyond the borders of Japan?
はい、まずですね、 これに関してはですね、ちょっとお伝えしたいのが、私はですね、日本の小さな町に、妻と猫と住んでおりまして、普段ですね、とても地味な生活を送っています。で、その中でですね、出版社の方や海外エージェントから、あなたの作品が売れてるよと、たびたび連絡が、来るんですけれども、いかんせん、私は地味な生活をしているもので、全く実感もなく、本当って多分まあ、冗談でしょうぐらいの気持ちで、日々過ごしていまして、今回ですね、こうして、初めて海外の文芸フェスに招待していただいて、こうしてやってきました、ですね、そこでですね、読者のですね、熱烈な歓迎を受けて、非常に驚いておりまして、で、本当だったんだなと、今ですね、この1週間ぐらいの間で、ようやく実感できているところです。
So, normally he has this really simple life in a small town in Japan, uh, just living with his wife and his cats, and he doesn't really do many of these meeting of fans and all. And when he was told by his agents and publishers that his book has really become very popular abroad, and there are all these fans, and he sold like thousands of copies and all that, and it really didn't sink in at that time, because uh, it was like very difficult for him to imagine that. But after coming here and meeting fans, talking to fans like this, it's slowly starting to sink in, how popular it is and how many people have read his books and how many people's lives he's touched. And it's his first time abroad meeting fans and all that, and he's very touched by the warm reception you all have given him.
I was telling them like before we got here that we're going to have quite a crowd. Like, be ready for that because I'm sure we have a lot of readers from here who loved the book. Now, of the many reasons why the book has been accessible to us is also the fact that it's very universal. Most of our cities do have one of those second-hand bookshops that we all love and we wish is our Morisaki Bookshop. So, of the global appeal of the book, what do you think really impacted that part that it could be accepted everywhere? And did you work on those elements when you wrote the book to cater to a global audience so that it's more universal?
そうですね。まずですね、私はですね、この孤児コードに来る前に、バンガロールなども回らせていただいて、そこで書店で、サイン会などさせてもらったんですけども、その中でですね、読者の方に、ここが私にとっての森崎書店ですというふうに言ってくれる方がいて、その方たちにとってはですね、その書店がですね、とても大事で、そしてコミュニティになっている場所だということをですね、私に教えてくれまして、とても嬉しかったし、なんか、私もですね、同じ思いを持っているものとしてすごい親近感を覚えました。
So before coming to the Kerala Literature Festival, we had met fans in Bangalore, and we had a few book signings in different bookstores in Bangalore. And a lot of the fans there had come up to him and said that to them, the place that he had come to and was signing his books, that was the Morisaki Bookshop for them. And there were a lot of people who had come up and told him that. And listening to those stories made him very happy that the books have touched his readers, and they also have such places that will help them, like Morisaki Bookshop helped Takako. Thank you.
Now, of late of the book world, some of the places that have really influenced publishing of books or the popularity of books or the books that reaches a lot is Book Talk abroad and for us Bookstagram and a lot of social media areas. Now, Days of the Murasaki Bookshop is something you will find anytime you open the bookish side of any social media. So, how did the internet popularity of the book, surprise you?
そうですね。はい、私もですね、それなりに、噂というか、そのネット上で見させてもらっておりますが、基本的にそんなにそもそもネットを見る人間ではないので、そんなに、というか、まあ、なんか他人事と言いましょうか、あ、そうなんだぐらいの、気持ちで割とおりました。で、やっぱりそれよりは今回ですね、インドツアーに来て、読者の方とかに直接触れ合って、たくさん熱烈な歓迎をしていただいた方が、私としては実感ができる経験ですね。はい。
Hi. So similar to the previous question, he was shown all these things on the internet by his agents and publishers, but it was still difficult to sink in because he doesn't have that much of a social media presence himself. And the first time it actually really started sinking in was after coming here and meeting fans like you.
It's really nice to be the face of his international fans. Nice to see. Even it's nice for me, like all these happy faces right here to like wish him well. Considering you're one of our favorite authors now, I want to ask a few like more personal questions to get to know the author. So, right off the bat, who are your favorite authors?
そうですね。インドの皆さんには、残念ながらですね、読んでいただけないこともちょっと多いかと思うんですけれど、森崎書店の日々という中に、書いている日本の近代作家が私はとても好きで、作中に登場する作家名はですね、私が実際に読んできて、いろいろと教えをいただいた作品が多いです。で、昨日、一昨日ぐらいですね、この辺りの書店さんをですね、いろいろ回らせていただいたときに、太宰治だったり、夏目漱石なんかの本は、英語版なんかも、出ていて、すごく売れているという話も聞きましたので、皆さんも読んでいただけるかなと思いますし、私もですね、太宰治や夏目漱石好きですし、特に夏目漱石のシンプルでリズミカルな文体というのは、私はとても参考にした、文体です。
So there are not a lot of Japanese authors, especially the ones that are a little older, that have been translated into English. However, like yesterday when he went around some bookshops and he saw that some of the older Japanese authors like Dazai Osamu and Natsume Soseki, some of their books have been translated into English. And these are also authors that he's mentioned in the books. Some of the authors mentioned in the books may not yet be translated into English. However, if you do find any of those books in your searches in the bookshops, please do pick up and read them. There are Dazai Osamu and Soseki's books are really available, so he would really recommend you to read those. So Dazai and Soseki, he's also read their books and their works, and especially the simple and rhythmical way of Natsume Soseki's writing has been a great influence on his writing as well. Thank you.
And one more tidbit to kind of know the author a little better. Most of us associate books with coffee, and so does Takako in the book. So I want to know, Mr. Satoshi, how do you like your coffee? And in your opinion, what is the perfect accompaniment to coffee?
はい、私はですね、コーヒーが、とても好きで、非常にですね、なんでしょう、とてもこだわりがあると言っても過言ではないぐらい、コーヒーを愛しております。で、私はですね、引き立ての豆のコーヒーをブラックで飲むというのが、好きでして、やっぱりシチュエーションとしては、書斎だったり、カフェだったりと、お気に入りのカフェだったりに行って、一人の時間に飲む。それがやっぱりいいかなと思います。 で、そういう一人の時間をですね、孤独な時間として自分の内面と向き合うですね、孤独な時間にコーヒーというのは、最高のお供だと思います。
So yeah, he really loves coffee a lot, and he's very particular about how he drinks his coffee and what sort of coffee he drinks. He especially likes the freshly ground coffee and the aroma of the freshly ground coffee, and having it in his study or at a cafe is one of his favorite things to do. He also likes coffee, a cup of coffee when he's having these moments of solitude and internal reflection.
Thank you. Now I'll get back to the book. um, Now, there are different landscapes that shape our personalities and our lives. How different is Takako's island Kyushu childhood and her landlocked Chiyoda young adulthood?
そうですね。おそらく多くのですね、人がですね、やはり子供時代というのはとても幸せな時期を過ごすことが多いと思うんですね。余計な心配や未来への恐れとかもなく、日々毎日を楽しく生きているのがそもそもの、子供の仕事ですから。で、特に高子というですね、人物には悟王子という人がその時にいて、一緒に楽しんでくれる、そして人生を楽しむ方法を教えてくれる、まるで師のような人だったですね。ところが高子はどんどん大人になっていく中で、いろんなものを見失ったり自分をすり減らしながら生きてきて、どこかを漠然として生きるようになってしまって、そんな中でですね、また悟と再会して、子供時代のような笑ったり感情を出したり、そういうことをですね自然とできる、いやしてもいいんだというふうに思えるようになったというのをですね、私はこの作品の中でやっぱり描きたくて、そして高子の幼少時代、あるいは悟との出会いや再会みたいなものを描いてみたつもりです。
So, our childhoods are a very important and happy part of everyone's lives, well, almost everybody's lives. And in her childhood, Takako had a very fun time and very interesting time with her uncle Satoru. But as she grew up, she started having all these more adult responsibilities, and she started losing a lot of things that she had in her childhood, and she started becoming a little more overwhelmed and unable to express herself. But with as she started living at the Morisaki Bookshop and was reunited with her uncle, she started regaining all the things that she lost, most of the things that she lost in her childhood while growing up. And as she spent more time with her uncle, Satoru, she remembers all the happy times of her childhood and slowly regains the ability to be happy again.
Now, translation makes it easy for a lot of us to be able to access these books. And I'm really thankful to Mr. Eric Osawa for translating this book for us. In the translator's note, he mentions about certain pleasures of reading that the book touches upon, like the joy of discovering a new author and the hedonism of staying up late to complete a book. So, what made you a reader, and what are some of the books and genres that have ruined your sleep?
そうですね。エリックさんがですね、後書きに書いてくださったことが、本当に本とですね、生きていく上でですね、の喜びとかをすごく表現してくださっていて、とても嬉しいですし、私のこの本を読んでくださって、皆さんもそういうふうに感じていただけたとしたら、とても、嬉しく思います。で、私自身はですね、割と若い頃から悩みを抱えがちな人間だったものですから、読書というのはですね、私を助けてくれる、それこそ、日々をですね、なんとかやりきるためにも、いつも一緒にそばにいてくれる友人のような、存在でした。で、 最近はですねそういう本ばかりじゃなくてミステリーとかも楽しく読んだりとかしておりますけども、基本的に私にとって本というのは痛みを自分の痛みをですね少し癒してくれるものだと思ってますし、私自身が書く作品もそういうものでありたいなと思っています。
So, in the translator's note, Eric Ozawa expresses the love of books very beautifully, and he touches upon all these things, and the way he expresses this is so beautiful. Yagisawa-san also has this experience of being saved by books. Books to him feel like friends, and he used to also read books that helped him survive the experiences he was going through. And the difficult times in his life were also made softer because of books. Uh, Now he's also started reading other genres of books like mystery novels and all. However, when he's writing, he also wants to be the sort of solace and the sort of writer that would touch other people's hearts as he has been touched by books he's read.
So the book also talks about one more thing that readers do. The translator's note, touches upon the fact that there's a certain freedom to walking into a bookstore and scanning the titles, waiting for something to catch your eye. So how integral do you feel browsing through books known and unknown is to a reader's mind?
そうですね。まずやっぱり、エリックさんが表現してくださったように、書店に入って、自分のですね好きに好みに合いそうな本を探すというのはですね、とても自由を感じる、行為だと思います。それはやっぱり、自分に何が合っているのか、自分の心がどんなことにですね、動かされそうかと、そういうですね自分のアンテナをもとにですね本を選ぶという行為はですね、自分の内側を知るきっかけにもなることだと思いますし、それは人生をですねクリエイティブに生きるためにもとても大事なことなんじゃないかと僕も思いますし、いろんな情報とか余計なものはなしで、僕もよく本屋さんに行ってその時感じた、自分にとってこれは必要かなと思える本を手にする瞬間というのはですね、とても自由だし貴重な時間だと思っています。
Hi. So, as Eric Ozawa has said in his note, the freedom of walking into a bookstore and scanning titles and finding which book you want to read is also very important. And it is something that's very important to Yagisawa-san as well. That when he goes to a bookstore and he's scanning for titles that are on the bookshelves, they have. It is more important for him to find a book that touches his heart and something that speaks out to him. So, the advice to all of y'all also is that when you are standing in front of a bookshelf and wondering which book to pick up and take home with you, the most important thing to do is to read a few lines in that book and see whether it speaks to you, whether it's something that can touch your heart. Because there's a lot of books and there's only so much time. It's important to pick the books that really speak out to you and things that make you feel or inspire you to be more creative and more yourself. So that's what he does, and he'd be happy if you would also do the same and pick more books, read more books that speak to you directly.
I couldn't agree more with that in my life. There are too many books to read before we die. Now, I like a lot of the characters in the book, but one of my favorite characters is Momoko, the aunt. And she's a fiery personality. She's the one that brings up a little like spice into the book. She's got fire when she enters. The pages turn suddenly all hot and in a very fiery sense. She's jumping, she's running, she's hiking. She's a lot of movement in a book that is more calm. So her zest for life, even when she's going through an everyday trauma that she's dealing with mentally, she's still looking for exciting things in life. So, what is your relationship with this, fiery character? And would you ever go on a hike with Momoko someday?
桃子というですね、キャラクターを好きと言っていただけて、とても嬉しいです。ですね、桃子はですね、僕は一番、書きづらかったと言いますか、彼女のですね、まさにエネルギーがですね、強すぎるところがですね、僕が制御することが全くできなくて、いつもは彼女の好き放題に行動しようとするので、僕自身はですね、書く時がすごい難しかったし、ずっとヒヤヒヤしながら、書いていたんですけれども、結果的にですね、読者の方に桃子というキャラクターがすごい生き生きしていて、素敵だったと言ってくれることが多くてですね、そのまま書いてよかったんだなと思って安心した次第です。はい。
He's very happy that you like Momoko, and a lot of you, maybe a lot of fans, have told him that they like Momoko, and he's very happy about that. But for him, she was a very difficult character to write because she's so different from himself, and she does whatever she likes, and she's got this energy that really carries the book sometimes. And yeah, because of that, she was a character that was not very easy for him to write, and there were a lot of times when he struggled with that. But after coming here and listening to so many fans being touched by Momoko and her life, and he really kind of was happy that he, even though it was difficult, he wrote this character, and you know he found I mean, her character touched so many fans' lives as well. Thank you.
Another favorite scene from the book is the moment where Satoru and Takako confront her ex-boyfriend, and it brings about a bit of closure for her. It's one of the most beautiful scenes of human connection for you to know that there's someone with you to support you, not at your best phase of life, to have a Satoru there by you when you need it. How did it feel to write that moment, to write that connection?
そうですね。私もですね、高子という人物にですね、彼女はとても傷ついて、古書店にやってくるわけですけども、彼女がですね、もう一度人生をですね、やり直すためにですね、この過去の苦しみからですね、過去の苦しみと向き合って、そしてそれを乗り越えてほしいという気持ちが私の中にもありまして、私はだから高子というキャラクターはですね、それをしたがらなかったんだけれども、悟という人物をですね、彼女を無理やり連れ出して、そして彼女に、自分の気持ちを全部吐かせるというこのシーンになるんですけども、やっぱり私もどちらかというと高子と同じで自分の気持ちをですね押し込めてしまうところがありまして、悟のような人物がいて、自分が傷ついたと、それをですね誰かに表明してもいいんだと言ってくれるというのはですねすごくありがたいことなんじゃないかなと私自身も思いますし、私もですね作品を通してですね悟のような人がですねいない場合でも自分は傷ついたと誰かに傷つけられたり苦しい思いをしたらその気持ちを隠したりする必要はないんだということをですね言ってもいいんだと、感じてもらえるようにですねなっていたら嬉しいなと思います。
So, when Takako first came to the bookstore, she was very depressed and hurt by the things that had happened prior to that, and the story was about how Satoru helps her face this hurt of the past and overcome it. So Satoru really is instrumental in helping her do this because Takako is her personality is more timid. She's a very timid person, and she wouldn't have done this on her own if Satoru had not forced her to actually go and confront Hideaki. And Yagisawa-san is also somewhat similar to Takako, and he can't easily express himself and his emotions when he needs to. So he feels like, yes, everyone needs somebody like Satoru in their lives, especially if you're a timid person, to tell them that it's okay to express yourself. You know, you should not keep everything that is hurting you within you. You should find someone to tell it out, or you should express it. And having somebody like Satoru in your life is a blessing if you cannot do it on your own. So, yes, please, if you are all hurting and there's something that is um, causing you pain, please find the courage to speak about it.
Thank you so much, Mr. Satori, for a great session, and thank you, Lynette, for helping us out with translating it for us. I'm very grateful to be here to present our lovely author to you, and now it's an even better time for me to throw it to the audience to ask a few questions. We'll be taking as many as we can within the time frame, and it will help us with translating the questions to him. So if you can raise your hand, volunteers will get the mic to you.
Yep. So there are like, hey, hi, glad to meet you, sir. So there are like two follow-up questions over here. So the first one is, okay. So the first one is, no offense to the translator or anything, but when you first wrote in Japanese and then it got translated into English, so there are many words that cannot be completely translated to English, especially in Japanese, okay? And then the grammar is very different. So there's a lot of difference. So do you feel that the essence of the initial book that you wrote might have been like, hello, yeah, might have been gone down or might have been a bit different when you wrote it, when it got translated to English? So that is the first question. And as a follow-up, so how did you feel that people have took the same book in Japan versus the rest of the world? So how has the people accepted the book? What difference do you see within the readers? Yeah, so these two are the questions.
はい。ありがとうございます。質問ありがとうございます。まずですね、私の本をですね、翻訳してくれているエリック小沢さんという方がいますけれども、まず前提として私の方でですね、英文をチェックしたりしたことも、何かお願いをしたこともありません。基本的に全てお任せで、訳してもらっていまして、でですね、その英文を読んでですね、いただいた感想の中で最も多かったのが、シンプルででもとても美しい文章だというふうに言っていただくことが多かったんですね。で、私自身がまさにそれを目指して書いている文体だったので、それをですね皆さんが言ってくれるという感じてくれているということは、エリックさんが文章だけじゃなくその世界観とか空気感とか、そういうものをですね、あるいは物語の中にある余白の部分とかそういうのをですね、伝えてくれてる、非常に上手に伝えてくれてるんだと思います。ですので、ね、エリックさんに非常に感謝しています。
So, yeah, as expected in translations, there will be some phrases that are non translatable, but regarding the translation itself and how much he's been into with the translator, he has left the translation and the nuances entirely to Mr. Eric Ozawa, and he has given him the total freedom to translate as is comfortable for him. and he has the response that he has received on the translation is that it's simple, easy to read, and very beautifully written. And that is very similar to the way that Yagisawa-san writes, and the feeling that he wants his readers to enjoy. So he's very happy that Eric Ozawa was the translator for his books, and he was able to preserve the simplicity of writing, and he has also preserved the nuances and the world that was in the original Japanese. And he's very grateful to Mr. Ozawa for translating it so beautifully.
Konnichiwa, Yagisawa-san.
はい、こんにちは。
I am Atitul Nasser, and I'm 14 years old. And the question I have to ask you is that your book has a calming atmosphere. The landscape is bookshops lined up the lane. And I wanted to ask you where you got this inspiration from, the inspiration for the landscape. And the second one is not a question, it's a request. If I could please get your autograph after the session.
そうですね。質問に関してはですね、もうこれは多分ね、僕が古書店だったり、日本でいう喫茶店、カフェとはちょっと違って、古いですね、何十年も前からやってるようなですね、木造の建物でやってるような喫茶店というものがですね、とても好きで、そういう場所によく行ってはですね、そこで交わされる会話とかを盗み聞きしながら物語の、構想なんかを練ったりするのがとても好きなので、そういうところが舞台になってるということです。で、あとですね、サインに関してはもちろん OK なので、後でサインしますので、ぜひ来てください。
Yeah. To answer your questions, there are a lot of these old cafes in Japan. They are called kissaten. So these are different from the modern cafes, and these have been running for the past like 10, 20 years, and they're run mostly by the older generation. So if you have a chance, you can please visit and see how these differ from the modern cafes. He loves going to these bookstores and these old cafes, kissaten. So while sitting there and having his coffee and observing other people, the inspiration to write these books has come upon. So yeah, these are places that he really loves and he frequents. So that's how these came to be the setting of the books. As for your request, yeah, sure, there'll be a signing event after this. So he hopes to see you there.
So due to time constraints, we'll be ending the session here. And I would like to thank Mr. Satoshi Yagisawa and the wonderful Lynette Dias for making this a great session for us to be able to know our favorite characters a bit more. And I'd love to end the session with one line from the book, which is, "Here's hoping we both encounter some wonderful books in the future," Tomo said with a smile. I hope you have a great time and see you all at the book signing.